5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
So, who wants a nice big slice?
There he goes again. Welcome to Sacrilicious with Robin and Snurts, a Simpsons review podcast. I'm your lovable nerd Snurts, aka Joshua Stearns, and joining me is the equally delightful Robin. Don't have a cow, coward!
Hey yo, Joshua! How are you, my friend?
I am doing well. As we both talked about earlier, we are sleepy, so this is Sleepy Time Podcast.
This is Sleepy Time, brought to you by Sleepy Time Tea.
We are older, but still want to do all the things.
But vital. We still got a strong libido.
Yeah. That's like that Vegas trip I took, man, was exhausting fun. That's how I explained it to everybody. It's like, it was a blast, but I am not used to that. My dogs were barking when I came home. And
I bet you slept on a floor, like... Ooh.
Oh, no. I got to share a bed with a snorer.
There you go.
And we didn't get to sleep until like 4 a.m. So
no,
that was
don't
fun.
Play that
but,
game anymore.
Great time.
Yeah.
Shout outs to my buddy Adam, who's getting married. We all wanted to celebrate him. We ate some good
Congratulations.
food. I got third place in the Texas Hold'em tournament that we did.
Nice.
And the previous one that we did for another bachelor party, I got first. So I'm placing in these each time so far. Now there's only been 2, but that's still a streak.
Absolutely. Getting some cash too for the trip.
Yeah. And then how you doing, man? Yeah, you said you were having fun with family.
Listen, every year, we haven't recorded since our birthdays, and
correct.
Every year we talked about it. May is so nutso. There's so many birthdays. It's springtime, especially in Atlanta. I love springtime in Atlanta, but it's crazy. Everybody's outside, so. Birthday was a week-long celebration. Friends came over, had some friends take me out to dinner the next night. Went to my brother's that weekend with my sister-in-law's birthday. And so much has been going on. And this weekend, my nephew graduated, Josh.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations.
And it's emotional and it was wonderful. And then we had a party for him. I had a birthday party last night, had family brunch today. It's my heart is full, Josh. My heart is full.
That's great. Well, if this is your first time with Sacrilicious with Robin and Snurts, shame on you. Shame on you. You should have listened to us by now.
Yeah, see a fucking doctor.
We'll still welcome you, and you can listen to this episode.
Whatever.
And so anyway, this is how it works. One of us will pick an episode of The Simpsons to discuss. We go through the plot, provide questionable impressions, and they are questionable, and point out our favorite bits. This time, Robin picked from season 19, episode 8, Funeral for a Fiend, directed by Rob Oliver and written by Michael Price, with the first air date of November 25th, 2007. So why did you pick this episode?
Well, I told you I was doing a watch of the seasons that I have not watched yet. I wouldn't say I've seen all of the episodes in any given season from season 15 through 35. And so I started watching them again. And this was obviously a Sideshow Bob episode.
Yes.
We love Kelsey Grammer. We love Kelsey Grammer on this podcast. And it's just such a funny episode. And it stood out. And watching it again to do this episode, I love this episode. It's hilarious.
I like how we bounce around, right? Because we did Sideshow Bob's very first appearance on this show with Krusty Gets Busted. And I wanted to do that one first just to kind of lay down the groundwork, because as we're going to see in this episode, they always flash back to previously on Sideshow Bob. Also, the writer, Michael Price, is somebody I've known outside of The Simpsons. He used to be a gutter on the movie podcast with Kevin Cote called Gutting the Sacred Cow. And this is a format where two comedians get a third guest on there who brings a movie that they think is overrated and doesn't deserve the accolades that it does. And Michael Price has been on there multiple times, and he's picked like historical movies like Argo. And he was just like ripping apart Argo left and right. And there was a couple other ones that he did that was very entertaining. And so fan interaction was very good with that podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pretty much the Moxford, right, to their, I was Snurts always was
The
participating and asking
doctor.
questions, right? So, and Michael Price actually followed me back on Twitter and would respond
Oh,
to me
yeah.
like every once in a while if I asked him questions. So like, I just think that's neat because to me, he's a celebrity.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to waste his time with the masses if he doesn't want to, but he seems to be engaging. He also was on that Round Springfield podcast with Ali Gertz and Julie
Oh,
Prescott.
okay.
And he was a great guest on there as well. So it's just our first episode with Michael Price, and I like the guy. He's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to give him a little bit more extra attention before we dive into Behind the Wiki.
The
Wiki.
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 It was not a lot.
No.
This one.
Look, we were talking about it. Like, I feel like, it's season 19. Like, they lost steam, 12 seasons ago. So,
Yeah. The commentary was pretty light. We'll get more into that later. But I have 3 things to go over though. So the scene where Homer blocks Marge from getting Bart out of the coffin, telling her he has to get over his fear of coffins, is derived from the opening scene from the Tennis the Menace, where Bart gets trapped in a coffin and starts to panic while Homer is watching through a closed circuit TV. The joke was written for the Simpsons movie in a scene that was cut from the final release of the movie and then reused here. So that's why I thought it was kind of neat. Is that they had this joke in the bag for a while.
Yeah.
They wanted to put it in the movie, and they're like, well, that's not going to work out.
We're going to talk about it later because that's one of my very favorite jokes in this entire episode.
John Mahoney is the third Frasier cast member to play a member of the Terwilliger family after Kelsey Grammer and David Hyde Price, his on-screen sons in both shows. So this is just a Frasier takeover, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The Terwilligers seal Bart in Bob's spacious coffin and turn on the conveyor belt to the cremation furnace and attempt to incinerate him. This is a reference to Mr. Wint and Mr. Kidd doing the same to James Bond in the film adaptation of Diamonds Are Forever.
Diamonds Are Forever. They're a homosexual couple. And in the time when in movies, anybody who's homosexual was clearly insane and psychotic.
This is so evil. Stop it.
It's an absolutely dreadful movie, but it was one that came out right when I was a kid, so I still love that movie. But it is a terrible movie. If I'm not mistaken, no, I think I am mistaken. Is that the one with the Ferrari that turns into the to the boat?
I do not recall.
It becomes a submarine. He has
that.
Ferrari.
Oh, I don't know if that's part of that one or not, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Lamborghini that turns into it.
I don't remember Diamonds Are Forever, and I'm a James Bond fan, so that shows you that it's not that good of a movie because it's not in my regular rotation.
This is firmly in the middle of the Roger Moore era. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then the DVD commentary mentions the writer's strike. So kind of keep that in mind. Like that's where we are in our place in history is that there was actually a strike going on. And so they mentioned how this episode just got in under the wire before they officially went on strike.
And that was a big deal living in Los Angeles. I have a ton of friends that are writers and they were on strike for a long time too.
Yeah, now I'm wondering too, aren't the video game voice actors still on strike as well?
Are they right now?
Yeah, they've been on strike for a while. They're not getting the attention that everybody else was getting.
Socialism now.
Yeah. I also want to shout out the DVD art style in the 19th season collection set is really cool. It's nice, a light pastel color pencils type of style. And as you're going through the various menus in the DVD, it's all playing very like barbershop quartet type of music, which is great. And I believe they're crediting this to Bill Pimpton.
It's Bill Plimpton. If you look him up, anybody listening, you can online, you would absolutely recognize his style.
Plimpton. I tried that 3 or 4 times before recording and I still fucked it up. So there we go.
It's like Martha Plimpton, Bill Plimpton. Yeah.
Okay. Couch gag. What do you think?
It was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine. I mean, it was uninspired, but it was fine.
I like the expression on the magician's face. So what happens is a magician like basically makes the couch appear underneath a blanket and then makes the family appear. And he doesn't have like the ooh, isn't this amazing? Big smile. He has a very like plain, I'm just doing this for a paycheck.
Yeah. He's got his poker face on the whole time. He has almost no reaction whatsoever, not even wiggling an eyebrow.
And the episode opens at Circus, which is supposed to be a circus.
Play on Circuit City.
Circuit
Yeah.
City or Circus from the
Yeah.
casino, right? Like, so that's
Yep.
fun. They show a cute little like seal like balancing a TV on its nose or something
Yeah,
of that nature.
that's a reference to something. I swear to God, I can't remember what it was. I
Yeah.
could have sworn there was a New York institution that had that similar
Oh,
icon,
really?
like yeah, but I can't remember what the hell it is.
All right. Well, we start off with some dumbass Mo, even despite Mama Mo not raising no fools, apparently.
Yeah, the important part is it's an electronics store, so
Yes.
Mo has bought himself a flat screen television,
Giant.
and and the guy's like, "You want me to help you get it in the car?" And he's like, "Oh no, I'm not paying $4 to have some jerk help me get it in." And he just stands it up on top of the car, and he's
Yep.
like, "That should do it." And it just falls over.
Yeah, I also love how they have like the plasma coming out of the TV, and it's like kind of looks like an oil slick.
It's great animation.
It's a good animation there.
It's just smash.
And he
And
just kind of,
typical Mo's like, "Oh God, oh no."
oh, I guess I'm just gonna have to go back to watching DVDs by chasing family vans, you know, because which I thought was hilarious. And then you immediately see the Hibberts drive by in their family van, and
Yeah.
so he starts running after him. He's like, "Big Bird in China? Will Grover get lonely? Oh no, wait, he's hanging out with Derek Jeter."
It's so funny. It's such a funny little scene. Yeah, I love the idea of him because it's something very familiar to everybody. Like you've driven
Right.
by cars and they've got the DVD playing for the kids in the back, and you're like,
It's
craning
distracting,
your
man.
head to see what it
It's
is.
distracting. I really don't like it because also I'd be like, "Oh, Aladdin! I love that movie."
Exactly.
And then we got an electronics store. Like, this takes me back. These things don't exist
Oh, yeah.
anymore for the most
Nope.
part. There's like Best Buy is barely holding on. Circuit
Yeah.
City is long gone, and Best Buy is a shadow of its former self now that they got rid of physical media. Like the last
Yeah.
time I went into their store, like you could have just been rollerblading all around because it's an open space.
I mean, Circuit City was like the more upscale Radio Shack, on the
Yeah.
East Coast. I don't know if you had that on
Well,
the
we
West
had
Coast.
Radio Shack as well,
Yeah.
but Circuit City and Best Buy to me were always simpatico. Like one was red, one was blue. They both sold
Yeah.
like electronics and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very much similar to the Bed Bath and Beyond versus Linens and Things, yada 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 yada.
Mhm.
But I like how they're walking by, and this brought me back, man, because I remember going into theirs when I was really into car stereos in college, and you would just see all the
look,
cool
everything
degrees,
was
like
fun in there. It was just so
yeah,
fun to walk in.
and
But
and-
I mean, they were good at getting us to buy stuff too.
yeah, so
they
it's
were
always
"Oh,
pushing
That's
you.
cool. That's cool."
Yeah, so Homer is walking by, and it's just basically like, "Hey, you want a car stereo? No, thanks, just a battery."
Yeah, and he's like teaching Bart, like just ignore everybody. Don't
Yeah.
let them get you.
Yeah, and so
But they're going hard at him. They're like, "Hey, camcorders, 20% off." And then both of our favorites, where there's a lady.
Would you like to have sex or make love? What did she say?
Here to make love, sir?
Yeah, so I like
Battery.
car stereos, camcorders, and anonymous sex. I do miss these shows. These stores are great.
the dichotomy of Homer's like, "All right, Bart, like you just can't buy any of the other stuff. We're here for a reason. We're gonna get in, get out," and her being like, "Care to make love real quick?" I mean,
now hear me out. You have
you
the
know
car
what?
stereo for the Barry White song, right? You have the camcorder to record the sex, and then boom, you got your OnlyFans opener, right?
Absolutely. That's the OnlyFans like starter kit right there. Absolutely.
I also like how the
It's
batteries.
Circuit City. Come on down.
Yeah, come on down. Come to Circuit City. So the batteries have great little phrases. They say "ever ready" for like $6, sometimes ready for like $2, and for 50 cents, dead already.
And Homer's like, "Bingo, that's the one."
The batteries. So he's going to the checkout counter, and this is another classic thing that they would always try to upsell you when you're checking out. And it's like, yeah, it's 50 cents for the battery or free with a $200 TiVo and a 2-year subscription. And Homer was immediately like, sold. I'm in.
Hey, look, you got an exorbitantly priced anything. All you got to do is mention it to Homer and he's buying it. He's not good with money, Josh.
Yeah, and I like how he leaves without the TiVo at first. You know,
he's like, "Sucker," and he watched that. He's like, "Sir, your TiVo," and he's like, "My what now?"
Yeah, exactly. And at this
Classic
time, as
Homer.
they were going through the opening credits, as this is all playing out, I noticed Mark Wilmore was on there. He's the late
Yeah,
brother of comedian and podcast host extraordinaire Larry Wilmore,
Larry
who has
Wilmore, great
worked
comedian.
on things like Blackish. He had his own show on Comedy
Mm-hmm.
Central called Black on the Air. He does stuff for the Daily Show as well.
Mm-hmm.
Great guy, and he was always very proud of his brother. Working on The Simpsons and what he was able to create with the show. So when I
Yeah.
saw that, it was a little bit single tear of like, "Ah."
Yeah, absolutely. I know him from The Daily Show, and he's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, his podcast Black on the Air is great. It's very entertaining. Just the one that dropped today had a 1 hour's interview with somebody who did like a Malcolm X biography, and it was very fascinating.
Awesome.
All right, so at home we got Lisa playing mechanic, but
I love this scene.
right, she has like the little
Because
wheelie
he'll
thing that
do
you
this
lie
little
down
kid
on.
dance,
Yeah,
and he's like doing the burrito. It's like 8 seconds.
yeah.
He's hopping up and down.
And then and Lisa has like a wrench and like a little bit of oil on her cheek, and she's like, "It's
Yep.
ready." And
Yep.
you can now skip
The oil
commercials.
rag over the shoulder and everything. Yep.
And this was a big deal because this is prior to the streaming society that we have today, right? TiVo was a
Yep.
relatively new thing, and being able to skip ads blew people's minds.
It bust on the scene because you could save all of your TV shows,
Yes.
and you didn't have to watch them at the time. And that was huge, because that's the reason I never watched a lot of shows that other people watched, is because at that time I don't want to be stuck in front of the television, maybe. So
Well, and you do
it
what
was a
my mom
big
did with
deal.
her stories, and you have an army of VHS tapes that you use over and over and over again. And now instead of having all that extra just crap around, you can have this one little
Yep.
TiVo thing, skips it right away.
Yep.
And I
And
never
this
had
is
a
before
TiVo.
streaming services too.
Right.
So yeah.
And they you could just hit a button that said skip ads and it would figure it out, right? To the most
Yep.
part. Yeah,
Yep.
that's pretty cool.
It was just like a setting. Yep.
Yeah. So of course the first show that they have is an Itchy and Scratchy. God, Itchy is such a dick. Scratchy is enjoying a Thanksgiving Day parade with a small child on his shoulders. And this
They're doing like the
bastard,
Macy's, the Macy's
the
parade
Macy's
with all the
parade.
balloon animals. Yeah.
And then this jerk of a mouse like moves the kid off of the shoulders and pumps him full of hydrogen, making him like a
Scratchy's sitting there with his kid.
Yes, that's the thing
before
that
he
got
gets
me.
grotesquely murdered.
Right. And so he basically blows up like one of the Thanksgiving Day balloons. And of course, there's a Native American area so he can get a bow and arrow, light it on fire, and fire it towards Scratchy. At what point, Krusty comes
Full
in.
of
He's like,
gas. Yep.
well, we're not going to find out what happens until these 10 commercials.
And that's when, so he's cutting to commercial, and like they always do, with the cliffhanger.
Correct.
And Lisa's like, "Oh no, we won't," and you get the classic badoop badoop badoop.
Yeah, it makes they have all the sound effects correct for the TiVo. And
Yeah.
what I liked about this,
it's iconic though. The sound is very specific. Yeah, it's part of the joke.
I like how all the ads featured were actual ads from the Simpsons universe.
Yep.
So the one that I saw most readily was Mr. Sparkle.
Yeah, I mean that's the one that stood out too when I saw it. It just makes me smile. It's such a classic episode. We were talking about that. That's a hilarious episode.
Mr. Sparkle.
I love it. There was a Duff Beer commercials with Santa's Little Helper. There was a Turbo Diary commercial. Oh, was that the diary?
Oh,
one?
yeah, the diary. Oh, yeah.
Dunzo, Homer Springfield commercial. Papa got a brain. Oh, yeah, when he was like a vigilante.
So that was just a good insider of baseball for a joke that most people probably missed because it was so quick. I also like how Homer makes a crack of like sticking it to commercial supported television, which they are on.
I spit on your corpse is what he says.
And then he like high fives Marge.
Real quick, one of the ones she skipped was Wes Dubner's world famous family style rip huts.
Jinkies. So it turns out Scratchy was screwed all along, and he explodes, and his organs fall to the ground everywhere, and everyone pulls out like their little plates and forks and knives, and they begin to have a nice, happy Thanksgiving cat gut dinner, I guess.
The way you get Itchy going, oh, the hilarity, like,
Yeah,
oh, the
that's
humanity, like the
right.
Hindenburg coming down.
Yeah, they were kind of hinting at the Hindenburg there with the hydrogen and the explosion and everything like
But it's
that.
grotesque. Like there's just guts flopping and flying all over the place. It's
Yeah, it's
gross.
really gross. Like they
Yeah.
very detailed too. Livers, organs, intestines, like like ugh.
It feels like every time somebody's like, "Ooh, have we gone too far?" and it's like, "No, you can't go far enough. Like, keep pushing it. That's the joke. Like, we've
Right.
got a repeated joke for 20 years. You
Yeah,
better keep up."
even when they bring out the dogs with the Happy Thanksgiving banner, like one of the intestines like falls over the side of it and stuff
Yeah,
like that. They go pretty far.
and it's well drawn too,
Yeah.
Josh.
Yeah. Marge starts watching TV and she kind of like starts to see, like we're seeing early signs of addiction here.
Hey, TiVo, you've got a season pass to my heart. Ooh, Opal!
Yeah,
And she's
definitely.
super
And
into
we
the
know that
TiVo.
Marge is prone to addiction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so she picks Opal, which is a Oprah parody. I love how she's interviewing Dr. Chef. That just made me so happy.
It is such a good. So there's a guy there. It's like the Italian cook, the chef guy, right?
Correct. But he has like a
And he's got the hat
stethoscope,
on, but he also has on like a doctor's
scrubs.
coat and the
Yeah.
stethoscope and
Yeah.
scrubs.
Oh, it's pretty good. And then
But it's like such a good like way to point out the ridiculousness of like Dr. Phil and all of them.
oh, absolutely. I thought of Phil and Oz and like,
Oh.
whoever else she got on there that are now like celebrities and whatnot. But like, yeah, like
Social commentary.
and Marge is so giddy because she's like, oh, I'm gonna skip the ads. Yay.
So she says, Opal says, Dr. Chef will be back after these messages. And Marge says, here's a message for you. Badoop, badoop, badoop. And
I
she
do
does
like
the
when she does the
sound.
cute little
It's
things
so
like
cute.
badoop badoop badoop. Marge does her own little,
Yeah. She's into it. She loves it. And
and
people
then
are
I
liking
like
that
how
background.
they come back from break and Opal makes a crack about her male fiance proposing they go on separate vacations again this year. But the way they play it out is very dramatic. And it says like, my male fiance, yeah, proposed, yeah, that we go on separate vacations again this year. Which is,
I
of
mean, it's
course,
a dated joke, but
it is a
yeah,
dated joke.
Stedman is Oprah's guy,
Right.
and they've always had this weird like relationship that we don't know anything about, but it's very
Yeah.
like
And frankly,
professional relationship.
it's frankly, it's none of our business. And I always kind of get
Right,
upset how Oprah
absolutely.
gets like, made fun of for whatever her
Yeah, I'm
relationships
sure she's
are.
crying into her billions, Josh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. To me, it was like,
Somebody made fun of me.
yeah, it's just, I don't know. It just seems cheap,
I'm gonna to make myself feel better. I'm gonna jump on my jet and go to China.
So at the dinner table, Marge is cradling the TiVo remote like a child, and she appears to be watching
Yeah,
a lot
she's
of
hooked.
television because she
Yeah,
makes a
she's
very
done.
quick series of jokes. Did any of those jokes stand out to you?
No, I mean it was all right.
Yeah, it was
She
okay.
says I saved Lost, watched all of Rome in a day, and got 2.5 men in 2.5 minutes. It's clever. It's clever. Not
I
my
like
favorite joke.
Homer's response though. Why is everything Hollywood makes so excellent?
Yeah, she says that I ran out of space and I had to choose between Sophie's Choice or Schindler's List. And he's like, "Why is everything so good?" It's such a Homer has some great lines in this one.
Absolutely. And so Marge is asleep on the couch, and we get a really weird shame dream featuring Keith Olbermann.
Yeah, it's an
He
odd dream.
basically guilts her into watching commercials again. And the conversation, if it goes from green color themes to red, depending on the intensity of what
And
Olbermann
look,
is
and
doing.
he's literally saying you're the worst person in the world
Correct.
because you're skipping the corporate commercials.
He also says, like, don't you think I'm handsome, Marge? Well, yeah, of course. Well, it takes 20 people for me to stay this way. And then we get
Without ad money, I'd look like a swamp monster from a child's nightmare.
So we get a lot of different Scooby-Doo-esque reviews where he keeps pulling off the mask, right? And then like what I like about it is like then it gets worse, then a little bit better, but then it gets even worse.
He's just pulling off heads each time, and it's worse
Yeah.
every week.
Yeah.
And then it gets a little bit better, and then it gets worse.
And then Marge is now watching ads, and she's supporting like the great advertisers of America. So thank you, Marge. You're keeping me employed.
It's like morning. She's been up now the rest of the night watching all of the ads.
Yes.
And she's exhausted.
And she kind of
And
is
the
pulling a Homer
first
where she wants to support and buy everything that's on TV. It's a very Homer type of like thing where she's like, no, we got to get this mop and I got to support Prop 87 because an ad had a frog in it. But apparently it's a pro pollution bill paid for by Union Carbide.
yes, Union Carbide reference.
And then they say paid for by the cartoon frogs for wetland destruction. That's just great.
Yeah, social commentary. They love doing that stuff, but they show the frog commercial, and it's like your typical thing where it's just like a cartoon frog, but he's just lying through his teeth to try and manipulate people. It's
right, like tell those fat cats in Capitol Hill, you know, that type of thing.
I do like the one ad that she's watching when they come in the room is with Ryan Leaf, who was a #1 football draft pick for San Diego, and he was the worst bust of all time.
Oh, really?
And so now he's selling mops. And I was wondering if he'd actually done the Simpsons episode, but he's not. He's not
okay.
listed.
That would have been funny.
Yeah,
I just like because I picked up on the joke without knowing who he was when they just said like because he just said like first round draft pick. Yeah, you're like that's it. Like that's all you're gonna say. Not even like NFL quarterback. You're just gonna say first round draft pick. That's pretty lame.
Oof.
Then the next ad comes on from Wes Dubner's world famous family style rib huts.
Yes,
teaching something for everybody. They like the premise, and Homer is just like, yeah. Good luck with my fucking variety of taste and needs.
This is a lynch point in this episode is Wes Dubner's world famous family style rib huts.
Jinkies.
Jinkies.
So it basically the ad is saying we got something for everybody, and Homer's like, yeah, right. It's like we got ribs. I'm in.
It's another great Homerism in this one. You know, there's a lot. He's great in this.
And then we got noodles, and then Marge sides with butter. Marge is in.
Yeah. So you know, that's supposed to be from some episode, some random episode. They're like it's a reference to an episode that I've never seen. You said you've never seen it either.
Yeah, it doesn't ring any bells with me, but that's cool that they call it out.
Noodles with butter. Now, noodles with butter is delicious.
Oh, of course, especially with some garlic.
With a little Parmesan cheese on there. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We have Texas tofu, which is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
It's like a big slab of tofu in the shape of Texas.
Massive.
And it just jiggles like Jello.
It's like the size
not
of a computer monitor. You know, it's like 30.
Lisa is very excited.
Lisa's in.
Oh yeah.
And the easiest placement puzzle in the state. Bart's hooked. Bart's
Let me
hooked.
out.
Yeah. And they're so excited. Okay, so two things here. One, I guess Marge isn't hooked to TiVo anymore because they do not bring that up for the rest of the episode.
Yeah,
we're done.
That's Act 1. That's Act 1.
Apparently, she's cool now because we're going to a restaurant. I guess.
Listen,
I don't know.
She's been through recovery before, Josh. She knows the steps.
And they're so excited that they're singing on the way to the restaurant, and they make like some kind of like comment of like, "Don't fill up on bread."
That's how they get ya.
So I'm going to bring up a Norm Macdonald joke from his last special, Hitler's Dog. And he goes like, you're over there cooking a delicious pork chop. And you're just like, that's going to be a good pork chop. And then you say, you know what I need now? I wait for my delicious pork chop. Some stale bread. That got me so good because there's, sometimes the bread is really good at these restaurants, but most of the time it's basic shit with some butter.
Look, I mean, fresh bread is great. I mean, he's probably talking about like the breadsticks,
yes.
like the
like those, not so good stuff. Good.
No,
yeah,
no.
And then we get a classic back and forth here of with Homer saying the same punchline over and over again. So we got Marge going, "That's odd. There doesn't appear to be anybody here.
More ribs for me."
Bart goes, "There aren't any tables or chairs.
More ribs for me."
Lisa, I see no grill, oven, or food of any kind.
More ribs for me. Woohoo!
I love how she says food of any kind.
He goes, more ribs for me?
Yeah, he starts the question in the third one. And then we get a complete tonal shift. The music goes dark, the windows and the tables shut, and Sideshow Bob reveals it was a plot to capture the family.
They're like locked in. It likes them in. Yeah.
Yep. And Lisa immediately makes the connection that the restaurant name Wes Dobner's world famous family style rib hut is an anagram for welcome to Sideshow Bob's world famous family style return. And they mention in the commentary too how like world famous family is style is repeated for both, so it's like a really shitty anagram.
Yeah, exactly. And we do get a Sideshow Bob, which
Oh,
is
of
a
course,
classic.
classic.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the
yeah,
whole
gotta
family
they have
joins
it in,
it. The whole family
yeah,
did it this
exactly.
time. Yeah,
But it's in every Sideshow Bob.
correct.
Like there's usually a rake. I don't think there was a rake in this one.
No rake in this one. I
Yeah,
think they got rid of
but
the rakes after a while because it was just getting
yeah,
old.
yeah, exactly.
But Bob points a gun and tells the family that they're going to die from watching a commercial. So Homer makes a crack about the next time he sees an ad, he's going to close his eyes, cover his ears, and scream. And of course, we get an ad break.
And then we get an ad break. And he's like, "Here it comes."
Yeah, exactly.
When we come back, I love the scene because Sideshow Bob's like, "Before you die, perhaps you'd like to know how I engineered my ultimate revenge." And Homer says, "I'd like to know if Wes Dubner is aware of what you're doing to his restaurant." And he goes, "I'm Wes Dubner." And Homer's like, "Mr. Dubner, I have a complaint. I work hard, and when I go with my family, I expect a certain level."
Oh, shut up!
It's such a good joke. Homer has several awesome parts.
So
in
we're
this
going through
episode.
the trope of basically last time with Sideshow Bob.
Now, since last we met,
Oh, great. Here it comes. All the boring things you've done since the last time you didn't kill us.
You never ask what we've been up to.
And they always do this, where they kind of recap everything that was happening with Sideshow Bob previously. And what I like about this one is that everyone's very self-aware of the trope, and they're kind of over it. Lisa's like,
Exactly.
you never
And they're
asked what
using
we...
that as the joke. Yeah, exactly.
Correct. Yeah. And then Lisa's like, you never asked what we've been up to. We went strawberry picking and I got the most.
Like, shut up.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, I have a little bit of visual aids and you can call me Slideshow Bob.
It's so good.
And I love
he's
Homer.
Like, tell him what he's been doing since he last tried to kill them. And the Slideshow Bob is a terrible joke.
shut up! This time, to liven up my tale, I brought along some visual aids. Just call me Slideshow Bob. Nobody do it.
That works very well in this.
I also love how Homer's like, nobody do it.
Look, this is really well, and you can tell, this joke. I mean, this episode is already chock full of jokes. I mean, like,
it is a joke-filled episode
they're
for sure.
shooting from both hands. Yep.
Especially in comparison to like Mother Simpson from last time, right? Where like it was a lot more sentimental, like kind of feelings,
absolutely.
and this one is just like, nope, joke. Mystery.
Very different, but I love how we've starting to see different styles, over the years.
Yes.
Like this is classics. We talk about this a lot, and some of them are a different format. When you have, I mean, how many episodes is that? 35 years, 20 episodes per. That's a lot.
Yeah. So we see that Bob fled Italy with his wife and child to England, and we get various British-related visual gags. My favorite of the bunch was the family photo in front of the Sherlock Holmes Museum. It's just so cute. They're all wearing the little Sherlock outfits with the pipe. Even the kid has the little pipe.
I like how they show a picture of them rowing down the Thames.
Yeah.
And Gino, the baby, is doing the
stroke.
Yeah, exactly. That guy. There's a name for that. I can't remember what it is.
I also wish they didn't have him talk, Gino, at all throughout this episode. But in the last Sideshow Bob, when they were in Italy, he would pull out a butcher knife and go, vendetta, vendetta, vendetta. I always love that.
It's so good. That's a great episode.
I also like how Bob sneaked into the country disguised as a Canadian comedy writer who was going to work on the Jimmy Kimmel show, whatever that is.
He says, is undocumented Canadian comedy writers.
Well, it's just because they show him riding a train and they're all wearing like Toronto Maple Leafs jerseys while working on a laptop. It's pretty funny.
It's a shot at Jimmy Kimmel, like whatever that is.
Absolutely. And I've always been a fan.
It's always in this, like it's a call out. It's meant to be because they're mentioning it. It's a compliment. It's a compliment to be in The Simpsons.
Correct. Yeah, satire is the highest form of flattery or something like that. I also always am happy for Jimmy Kimmel getting out there as an LA native because I was listening to him and Ralph Garbutt and Doc on the Rock and Kevin and Bean on the morning K-Rock show. Yeah. And it's kind of amazing to see how far Jimmy has come. And
it's so funny.
And now that he's getting referenced on The Simpsons, it's just like
Do you
victory.
remember his show he did, The Man
No,
Show?
absolutely, with Adam Carolla.
Yeah, and that I was not a fan. It's very like macho, masculine kind of. I mean, they were being silly, and
Yeah.
they were fun, but I found it silly, and I really went into it. I mean, but now he's become this talk show host who, if you've watched that show, I mean, when he's talking about something that he believes in, like he will break into tears. He really gets invested when he does, and he's absolutely hilarious. And
He's
I
had some
love,
tragedies in his life too,
yeah,
of various degrees, and he's
yeah,
not afraid of sharing that with people. It's
yeah,
my understanding that on his show he hires a lot of friends and family as well to try to give them
awesome.
opportunities.
And
He's
he's
he
made,
seems like a good guy. Now,
uh,
I was a fan of the Man Show because
yeah,
I was a young 20-year-old, like not even 21 yet, because the show got canceled before I was 21 because I was going to go see it with a friend because we wanted
yeah.
to do the ziggy zaggy, oi, 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 and chug a beer at the end. But I have to say, when I went to go rewatch The Man Show, I do think it's very
Yeah,
juvenile humor.
yeah,
And if you're in the mood for that kind of thing, it's going to hit. If you want something a
exactly.
little bit more, refined, maybe
Yeah,
it's not the
yeah.
best. But
Look,
enough about Jimmy
humor
Kimmel.
more than anything else is subjective.
Yes. So we find out that Sideshow Bob is an industrious motherfucker because he not only built the restaurant from the ground up, made
But
the
he
trap in the restaurant,
crafted
he fully produced a commercial, which leads to a new feature to direct a feature film, and that film is The Hills Have Eyes 3. The Hills Still Have Eyes.
it's such a good play on these sequels we see, especially for horror films, where you just
Yeah.
get one after another. It's like,
Well, I love it. Lisa
how do you
is
bring that
very
back
kind of
again?
excited for him. He's like, "Oh
Yeah, yeah,
shit,
yeah.
really? You're gonna direct a feature? What did you get?" And then Bob is like, he kind of loses his like enthusiasm, and he's just like,
Yeah, he's like,
"The Hills Have Eyes 3 this time."
he had to say it. It pained him to say what it was. He's
Yeah,
proud that he got offered a feature, but
right. I mean, it's like,
there's a caveat there,
yeah. Hey, oh, hey, man, I'm a director of this musical. Oh, what's the musical? Barney on Ice. Okay.
Oh.
Which, by the way, got me an offer to direct a feature.
Which one?
The Hills Have Eyes 3. The Hills Still Have.
This summer, the question that was answered twice before will get one more response.
I thought we'd be safe in the hills. I didn't know the hills still have eyes.
Spoiler warning, they do. August 15th, the world will see The Hills Have Eyes 3, The Hills Still Have Eyes. Directed by Robert Terwilliger Jr., starring one of the Chris's.
Oh my god. I never saw those eyes coming.
So Bob's big plan is to have a laptop battery overheat on top of boxes of TNT. He turns it
Yeah.
on, and there's a dark joke here.
Yeah.
Clippy shows up. Oh, looks like you're trying to blow up the computer. Mind if I hug my kids? 3 little smaller paper clips show up, and he kind of hugs them together. That's
And
messed up.
you know what it is? I was watching it, and they're really happy, and he's like trying to put on a brave face for them because they're unaware that they're about to die.
Yeah. And so Bob brags about having a flawless plan. And
Wait, Josh, real quick, is
Sure.
the computer bit about the batteries blowing up? Do you remember that? When that was a thing?
Not really,
There was
no.
a time when batteries. I mean, it was around that time, and we both would have been on computers at that time. But there were certain laptops that would overheat, and like it would melt the laptop. So that's what it's play on. He's like, I'm going to overheat this laptop, and it's going to explode. But it was a big deal. Like it was pervasive in media that they were talking about it.
Yeah, I think at this time I would have had a tower, so I didn't have a laptop anymore.
Yeah.
And because if it's 2007, I was probably playing World of Warcraft or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he quotes Shakespeare, and he misquotes it, and Lisa calls him out, and of course this triggers Bob. Anytime that like Bob is questioned on his intelligence, his performance of some kind, he gets very, very defensive. So he immediately comes back and he's like, well, I'm just going to look it up. And of course the laptop explodes in his face.
Oh dear. Sideshow Bob, hoist on his own petard.
It's hoist with his own petard.
Oh, get a life.
So the premise is, he says, this time I've made no mistakes, and Lisa says, you did make a mistake. And he's
And that's what triggers him.
He almost gets out. Almost gets out, Josh, and he comes back and he's like, well, we'll have to find out. And he grabs his exploding laptop and looks on Wikipedia.
Or was this part of his plan all along? Jinkies.
Jinkies.
So we got Ken Brockman outside with.
Find out.
Yeah, exactly. We got Ken Brockman outside, and he goes, 10-time attempted murder and Celebrity Jeopardy runner-up. Sideshow Bob is in custody again. I just love how they add that like little factoid about him being a runner-up to Celebrity Jeopardy. And you'd think Bob would have the smarts to be able to be like champion, but nope, just runner-up.
Well, and the scene itself where this computer blows up and foils his plan is pretty funny. Like, it blows up pretty big. He's pretty singed on the floor.
There's also a fun bit where Lou and Eddie are trying to get him into the cop car, and they can't get his hair to fit, and so they ended up like closing the door on it and then snipping off 3 bits there.
It's so tragic. That's tragic. That's not going to look good for a long time.
All right, so at court, Bob is representing himself and pleads insanity. His parents are there, and they are Dr. Robert Terwilliger Sr. and Dame Judith Underdunk. Doctor is pretty self-explanatory. He's the real medical doctor type, not those fake academic PhD dudes. And then
but he's voiced
Dame
by
Judith,
John Mahoney.
Right, correct. Yeah, who
is also on Frasier, of course, with Kelsey Grammer.
Yes, and what else do we have? Oh yeah, and Dame Judith is a professional actress and Shakespearean performer.
Yeah, like a classic actress, Shakespearean. Yep.
Yes.
And I love how Lenny's is like a huge fan of her as like this, like Victorian actress. It's great.
Yeah, because he asked her like some kind of question about like what came first.
You know what? I gotta read this one out because it's hilarious. He says. Sorry, give me 1 second here.
Yeah, and it's while you look that up, I'll just explain that the parents look very much like Sideshow Bob. The dad has the giant feet, the mom has the crazy hair, so you can definitely tell that this is all one family. So what do you got?
And they look like very proper and put together too. So when the dad gets called up, Lenny leans over and he goes, Dame Judith, you were brilliant in Troilus and Cressida. Did they name the Toyota Cressida after the play or the play after the car? And she's like, my son is on trial for his life. He's sorry. He goes, I'm sorry. I know this is a bad time. So just answer quick.
And she confirms it's the play and then the car. And he's all like downtrodden. He's like, oh, I just lost $1,000.
Just lost $1,000 on that bet that the play was named after the car.
Yeah. I also like, so basically Robert Sr. is trying to paint a picture of Bob being the victim. And he mentions that he was a sickly boy with a heart condition, and he was doing okay until he met Bart Simpson, and then he went mad. And he goes, but then the Simpson boys started tormenting him, and he crossed over into dementia. And Bob goes, to what degree was this dementia blown? Full.
I love so that Bart starts hollering at everybody saying, stop feeling sorry for him. He's a homicidal maniac. He deserves to fry. And Sideshow Bob goes, you see, he knows I'm going through a rough patch. Still, he harangues me. The rough patch is trying to murder them and getting arrested and on top of his life.
Yeah, so he's really hamming it up. I also noticed the city plaque above the courtroom door says Liberty and Justice for Most, 1932. I thought that was pretty good.
What's the 1932 reference?
I have no idea.
Okay,
no clue whatsoever. Because I thought the town was formed much earlier in that, like in the 1800s. So I don't know why they said 1932. But I do like Liberty and Justice for Most because that's that is apt.
I love Sideshow Bob is like, who among you have not suffered at the hands of Bart Simpson?
Yeah, the jury is full of people who don't like these little pranks, right?
This is a repeated joke, by the way. When there was the mob boss, Bart the mob boss, I think they did a similar joke. And this is something that has happened a couple times where you ask people if they've been messed with by Bart Simpson. They definitely have.
Because he's
Josh, miscreant.
That's
He's a
right.
total miscreant.
I like how even the Lady Justice is giving Bart the stink eye as they're doing like a pan around.
I know.
And Luigi,
She's taking off her blindfold.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
is, like, giving him the stank eye.
Yeah, and then I love how Luigi has a great joke, and he's like, he wanted me to deliver to the Poopy Pants Lane in 800 block, but the Poopy Pants Lane ends in the 700.
He's like, my folksy ways.
So we got 2 streets on there that we need to visit when we go to Springfield, Robin.
Yep.
123 Fake Street and Poopy Pants Lane.
Absolutely. Poopy Plants Lane. But Josh, we can't go 888 because it ends on the 700 block. Everybody knows
we'll
that.
have to know that. Yeah, absolutely. So Bart continues to be like, no, he's playing you all for fools. And then Bob really starts to ham it up, and he's like, I think I didn't want to have to use this. And he pulls out a little vial that says nitroglycerin.
First, hold on, real quick.
Okay, sure.
When Bart says Bob's playing you all like saps, the man's a killer, he goes, see how he accuses me at my very own trial? I don't know. I love that bit so much where he's like, do you see what he's doing?
Bob's playing all of you like saps. This man's a killer.
See how he accuses me at my very own trial. I can take no more. I didn't want to use this.
Well, and Kelsey Grammer does a good job of overacting. You can tell he's up to something. Like he just the way he's
pulling at their heartstrings.
You know, and then so like he says he has a small vial of nitroglycerin, and then Chief Wiggum's like, "Oh, everybody panic! Everybody panic!
Love Chief of Police, nitroglycerin. Everybody panic!"
So after following the instructions of the Chief of Police, they do. But Bart snatches the vial, throws it out a window. Oddly enough, there's no explosion. You think if they threw like a bottle of nitro, right? And then we get Bob like going like, no, and collapses on the ground. Very dramatic.
You don't understand.
You don't understand.
Yeah, and then so he falls to the ground. His father comes and says that he's dead, and his mother explains that the nitro is for his congenital heart defect.
Yep.
And then
which was referenced earlier, by the way, when Dr. Robert was on the stand, was talking about him being sickly. He referenced this earlier.
Yeah, and Dr. Robert said that after the wife spoke, right? He was just like, and I mentioned that earlier, so exactly. Trying to really like point it all together. Like,
I didn't set that up, but I just did remember that.
And then Hibbert confirms Bob is dead. And then he has this great joke. It's like, ooh, I'm touching a dead person. Like, it's so the character. It's so weird.
It's one of those little jokes in this one that just, stands out.
So we get another Kent Brockman reporting, and he's at the funeral live with shovel-to-shovel coverage. And I love how he compares Bob to Billy the Kid, Bonnie and Clyde, and Jesus.
Jesus Christ. Tricia, turning outlaws into legends.
Joining them now is Robert Sideshow Bob Terwilliger, whose funeral we're presenting with live shovel-to-shovel coverage.
Yes. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. So the entire family arrives, Bob's family. We got the mother, father, brother, wife, and child. We find out that Cecil has come out of jail to give his final respects. And there's also a funny bit where clown colleagues coming to the funeral in a small like Volkswagen Bug-like car, and they all get out the classic, how many clowns can you fit in a car type of bit.
I love when they like the car, they all look like clowns and they're all smiling, and then all at once they look at each other and they just frown and they get sad faced.
And then you like the Ken Brockman line that he has too.
There's a veritable who's who of ha ha. And when you get into the church, the pews are filled with celebrities who'd been on the Simpsons, and they're all the attendees for Sideshow Bob's funeral.
Yeah.
Who is it here? It's Buzz Aldrin, Scarlett Johansson, Julia Roberts is in there. And I missed this all. I've read about it in the wiki. Miley Cyrus, Natalie Portman, Mel Gibson, Dan Castellaneta, of course.
Yeah,
Sigourney
but it's an
Weaver,
easy joke to miss.
Baldwin. Yeah. There's a ton of people in there. That'd be fun to go pause the thing and look at.
Because we're talking about like one pan across the church, basically.
I didn't even glance at it.
Hey, kids, do you know what time it is? That's right, it's time to pie throw Sideshow. Instead of throwing a pie at Sideshow Bob, we throw Sideshow Bob at a pie. Bob is hooked up to this industrial-sized rubber band.
Krusty, has this been tested?
Quiet, you. And we're gonna fling him into that cream pie.
But it's right in front of the brick wall.
Quit your griping. Here we go, kids. 3, 2, 1. Shabuza.
Oh, my beautiful face.
Ugh. That's going to require a lot of plastic surgery. So we have an open casket. Bob's big feet have extra room. Jinkies. Krusty is playing the piano, and it's isn't it an Elton John, right?
Yeah, it's Candle in the Wind.
Yep.
So it's a reference when Princess Diana died. Elton John sang at Westminster Abbey, and he changed the words to be about her, and it's a play on that. But he did a better job there than Krusty does.
Oh, Krusty is hilarious.
Butchering Candle in the Wind here.
I also love how we get all the visual gags of loved ones and clowns paying their last respect. So like one clown comes up and removes his makeup that was a smiley face and then draws on a frowny face. There's the old goat and Italian woman that was from the last Sideshow Bob episode playing their respects in addition to like, the various family members. I also love how in Krusty's song, he's hawking the goddamn Best of Sideshow Bob DVD, which includes, and he goes into it, he's like you think it's not just him selling the DVD. He's like, there's deleted scenes and special
features.
And it seems to me your loyal fans ought to buy this DVD of all your best love sketches on the Krusty Show.
Yeah, and then he mentions how he saw their Franken beans. So apparently,
he says it's like when you split your pants and we saw your Franks and beans.
And in the DVD commentary, the creators were very happy that they added a porno star to the back of the DVD to his genital area, and they got away with that on TV and everything. They thought that would be a bigger deal, but it's one of those things again. You blink and you miss it. But if anybody is familiar with porno DVDs, a lot of times when you flip them on the back to cover up the nudity, they have like little stars, and so they had the same kind of star that they had there for Sideshow Bob's genitalia.
So Krusty ends it with, buy my DVD.
And the Simpsons walk in, and Krusty blames Bart for killing his best friend. Does this guy forget?
Crowd boos Bart when he walks in.
Oh,
he is persona non grata here.
But Krusty really is flipping 180 on this situation because it wasn't long before we did not like Sideshow Bob for framing him.
No, he's trying to hawk the DVD. Sideshow Bob tried to frame him for murder.
Right. So I just kind of got killing his best friend kind of threw me off when Krusty said that. I was like, oh, that's weird. And I also love how Marge is trying to get Bart and Homer to be sad for Bob's death. And Bart storms off and he's like, no.
He's like, I'm not sad. I have nothing to be sad about. And he absolutely doesn't. This man's trying to kill him 8 times. But the funny thing is that there's an echo in the church. And so we get the classic gag of where they say something and it just reverberates for everybody to hear. They're trying to whisper.
Yeah. like Homer says something along the lines of oh, I really still hate this guy. I hate this guy. I hate this guy. I hate this guy.
And then Homer goes, I don't care about these church jerks.
Church jerks.
Yeah. And Marge goes, Homer, your behavior is heinous.
Anus.
It's a silly joke. It's
the fact that they did anus with Marge is good.
Laughed. Yes,
it's because she's
anus.
And I could just imagine her being like, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed. I said anus in front of everybody."
So Bart there goes, stupid Sideshow Bob. Even when he's dead, he wrecks my life. I hope he's in hell eating a barf burger.
Yeah, oh, that's so gross. And then we got Cecil, who's Sideshow Bob's brother, comes out, and he's being escorted by 2 cops, Jinkies. And he basically mentions, that the only way
to Bart, he sits down with Bart, and he's like, I used to feel like you do.
Yeah. They have a lot of upscale wispy jokes. He's like, I wanted to go see the castles in France. He wanted to go to see the castles in Italy. So they took us to Spain, and no one was happy.
Bart goes, that's stupid. You will talk like you're smart, but you're stupid. There's a weird little line in there.
Yeah, and then basically Cecil's like, if you make peace with Bob, then this torment will be over. And so he takes it to heart, and he goes and he runs into Milhouse, who apparently appears to be doing a paper route. And he mentions the Bart is on the front page, and it says "Boy Shames Region." So once again, that quick press of the Springfield
Oh,
News
yeah,
is
they're
already,
quick.
they're hot. They got their thumb on the pulse of the city for sure. And then Bart asks
But Bart
Milhouse,
says specifically, he's like, I'm going to go make things right.
yeah,
He's going to go before he gets cremated. He's going to go and he's going to talk to Sideshow Bob's casket and make things right, put it to bed.
and then
he
Milhouse is
says,
like, I would
Milhouse,
like
you
to
want to come along?
yeah, and Milhouse is like, I would, but my dad's taking me to batting cages to umpire. And then he pulls out an official ball strike
He's so
counter.
excited. He's so excited about it. Ball 1, ball 2, strike 1.
And
He's loving it. Oh,
I almost
that's cute.
guarantee you that's a Michael Price joke because he is a huge baseball fan, big fan of the Mets. I don't know that for sure, but that was my assumption.
Boo, fuck the Mets.
So Bart just runs away towards the funeral home because who wants to be putting up with Milhouse's nonsense? And the Springfield Funeral Home, same low prices, even for fatties.
Hey! You know what time it is, kids? It's time to play Find a Banana! Teeny loves his bananas, and he will do anything to get his hands on one. Where are we hiding it today? In Sideshow Bob's pants!
Wait, I didn't agree to this.
Shush you. Now get this bunch of bananas down those clown pants or you're on the street. Oh, Teeny! Would you like a nice juicy banana?
Oh dear.
Well, go get it! Oh, he's gonna be peeing out of 2 holes.
But I love this scene with Milhouse. Milhouse is great in this scene because he does the thing with the umpire, and then Bart disappears. He's like, "Where did he go?" And then Lisa shows up, and he's like, "Hey, Lisa, I hate to mix B with P, but your family owes me for 2 weeks paper."
Yeah, so I think Milhouse walked from.
So funny.
I think Milhouse walked from the church or whatever to the Simpsons house because he was doing his paper route. Because he rings the doorbell and whatnot, and that's when Lisa comes to the door and they do the whole exchange and whatnot.
Well, shut my mouth, Josh. I thought they were doing it right there in front of the house.
No, I think he was in front of but let's not dwell on that. It's not important. What is important?
I also loved where Marge comes out and goes, "Milhouse, have you seen Bart?" And he goes, "Bart Simpson?"
Yeah, like there's another Bart that she would be talking about. I also like how he goes, my feet are killing me. Just let me sit down for a minute. And this triggers the Nancy Drew side of Lisa's brain.
Yeah.
And she declares that they have to save Bart. Homer is like, now, but I'm getting a home perm. And we see one roller covering his little 2 bits of hair.
His 2 bits of hair.
Yeah. And then Lisa screams, no! So Bart enters the cremation station and there is no one around, which is kind of weird. And the music is very ominous. For some reason, during the DVD commentary, they were only talking about Bonanza during this section. I don't know why. Bonanza is great.
Yeah, we're talking about this. It's like they're weird. Over it. Like they're over
they
it.
just bring up Bonanza.
They have done 19 seasons at this point. Like whatever has been there to mention got mentioned like 12 seasons ago, and now they're just on filler. But Bart, Bart's there, and he's like, "Bob, it's me, Bart. I just came here to tell you that I never meant for you to die." And he's earnest. He's like, "I just wanted you to go to jail and get beat up a lot. Now everyone wishes I was dead.
Then let's give them what they want." And of course, he pops
Sideshow
out.
Bob! We get another Sideshow Bob.
And he's brandishing a knife. And he uses a knife to lift Bart into the coffin instead of just stabbing him.
It's fun animation. Yeah. It looks like he's supposed to stab him, and he just goes through his shirt.
Correct. And then, he pulls the lever to start the conveyor belt. Homer, Marge, and Lisa are driving to the rescue, but Lisa is explaining basically everything that went down. So
she's like, "Bob planned this from the beginning," and Homer's this whole time is going, and he's like, he wanted to be captured at the restaurant. He would never get a Shakespeare quote wrong. Homer's like, "Nope. His mother was a Shakespearean actress. His father is a doctor." Homer's like, "A doctor, huh?" And so he keeps going. and explaining it, and Homer's just going along with it. And he's finally like, "Are you done? Because we've been circling the funeral home for 10 minutes."
I love that line.
Look,
And Lisa,
that crematorium was already. I mean, that conveyor belt was already moving. Like
right.
they don't have 10 minutes. You know what I mean?
But I love it too because just Lisa's like, yes.
She's defeated.
Yeah. So Bart tries to trick Bob by pretending there's an underground passage, and he's not buying it.
It's very silly. It's very silly. He's like, I found a trap door that leads to an underground city. Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And then so the whole family, we find out the whole family's involved. The wife and child come into the background. Cecil comes in, and then the two cops that were escorting them remove their disguises, and it turns out to be the parents. So this is a whole family crime at this point. And I love how like they basically go through the gloating like any Bond villain would do, where they explain how they were so smart and their plot was so good. And then Cecil says his performance sealed the deal. And Bob, this is classic Cecil and Bob thing. Yes, and Hammett is all about Laertes.
Laertes.
And then Cecil like, would you please stop comparing me to Laertes? I don't even know that joke. I'm assuming that Hamlet is the star and the other one is not, and that's why it fits.
He's his best friend that betrays him in the end. And Sideshow Bob goes, "If the doublet fits." It's so snooty. It's so snooty.
It's just like when they were first introduced and they had like, they were having a conversation about the Macedonians or something like that. It's very Frasier. It's very Frasier-esque.
It's one of those little jokes the writers did that on paper you wouldn't know if it was that funny, but just the way that they do it, it's great. I love it. I love it. And you get David Hyde Pierce and Kelsey Grammer again together, and I love both of them. I think they're both hilarious.
Then we get Homer, Marge, and Lisa bursting through the door, and Bob yells, "Zeus's pimples!" I love it. I love that line.
Wait, I love how Homer says, "What smells so good?" Is of course his son being burned alive.
Yeah, and then we find out that the lever for the whatever. Oh God, why is my brain
for the conveyor belt?
For the conveyor belt. Thank you. God, my brain
has a higher speed on it.
So it starts with gloating speed, and then it goes to kill him already. Very specific. I love it.
So the weekend now are my favorite joke, one of my favorite jokes, and we referenced it earlier, but Bart's like, "Get me out of here. What are you doing? I can't breathe." And Marge goes to open the casket, and Homer goes, "Marge, he's got to get over his fear of coffins." And it's like holding her back.
Yeah.
I just love it. Like he's halfway in the oven.
Right.
And he's like, no. He's got to get over his fear.
I also like how prior to that, Homer there's just a box of unclaimed ashes, and he throws the ashes at Bob's face and goes, "Eat hobo remains."
That's good intuition too. Like it's fun. Like
Wiggum busts in and goes, "Freeze, Sideshow snobs!" Classic Wiggum. And then Bob is like, "What gave it away?" And it's like, well, why would your coffin need extra room for your feet if you're dead?
Smart.
And I think Bob said something along like, "Oh, damn these glorious gunboats."
He does love his gunboats. I love his Wiggum is then arresting them. He goes, "You have the right to remain silent, but I hope you don't. It's a long way to jail, and I like a chit chat."
We also get Bart going, "Nice try, Bob, but you didn't count on one thing." "What's that?" "You stink like my butt. Ha 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 ha. Take him away." And then another great Bob going like, "Oh, why must I feed him straight lines?"
They're so good.
So back at the house, the Simpsons are celebrating. They have a giant cake, and Bob pops out with 2 knives, and he slashes the family. But of course, this is just a fantasy. Bob is in a straitjacket
in a cell with his whole family.
Right. Well, they start with a close-up shot of just Bob. And then they pan out,
hackling like a maniac.
Yeah. And you pan out and you see the whole family is there. The dad is playing bridge with the grandson and his other son, right? The wife is there, the mom's there. They're in a huge cell, very big cell for jail.
And Sideshow Job's just in the corner, just like in his own world, clearly like having a mental break.
And Robert Sr. goes, "Sigh, there he goes again." And then there was the end joke was something about playing cards, and Snake came in and hit people with a club. It really
So
fell
they're
flat.
playing
It was kind of
bridge, and
dumb.
he's like, he spits 2 hearts. Gino, the kid, I love the kid, is like 3 diamonds, and the Snake goes, ha ha, 3 clubs, and then clubs them all in the head real quick. It's kind of funny. It's kind of
It's all
funny.
right.
You can tell that we're very excited about it.
Yeah, I like the end. To me, it could have just ended with "There he goes again," because that would have been like a classic sitcom. Like,
so the last line of the episode is actually Cecil going, "That joke's not funny."
yeah.
And the bid's not sufficient.
Well, so there you go. So maybe it's supposed to be that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Mission accomplished, right?
See, you thought that they had just written something, but they came back with layers, Josh.
There you
and
go.
it made it all the more worth it. So
Well,
you're wrong.
Robin, do you hear that sound?
What's that, Josh?
You know what time it is. It's the
Krusty
Brand
Seal
Seal
of
of Approval.
It's like
So you went. This is your episode, so why don't you go first with final thoughts and score?
As I have started watching these later seasons, I have been very impressed with the writing and production. You know, I'd kind of assumed it really had fallen off. This is a hilarious episode. It's chock full of jokes after jokes. The scene at Circus, the TiVo jokes. Homer has so many great lines in this. Milhouse has so many. The trial, Kent Brockman. It's a great episode, and I think any Simpsons fan would love it. I give it a 4, and I think it's a great example of how impressive the longevity of The Simpsons is.
Very nice. Well, here are my final thoughts on Krusty score. Funeral for a Fiend is another fun addition to the Sideshow Bob legacy. Getting to see his whole family complicate crime together was fantastic. Some memorable jokes include Sideshow Bob crossing the U.S. border as a Canadian comedy writer for the Jimmy Kimmel Show, Wes Dubner's world-famous family-style Rib Huts ad, Zeus's pimple, and Krusty pushing DVD sales during a funeral song. The opening act was fine, but didn't hit as hard. Retail TiVo and TV jokes of the era were more smirks than LOLs. Marge becoming addicted to ad-free TV, but then guilt trip back into watching the commercial was a quick 180, and then it just kind of disappeared. Because after that, we were focusing on the Sideshow Bob plot. So I'm a big Sideshow Bob fan, and this episode eventually hits those themes. The decent but irrelevant first act wasn't enough to tank this score. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5.
Nice, we matched.
Yes.
But it's a good point. You made a good point about how at the time it would kind of not be a hilarious joke. I actually think that I appreciate it more now because TiVo is, like nostalgic.
Correct. Yeah.
So yeah, I thought that.
I mean, I was the guy who would wander around a Best Buy or a Circuit City just looking at stuff, especially when I started to get disposable income after I was working.
Games,
games. I was buying so many games from Best Buy.
Stereos, CDs.
Yeah. And so it was pretty fun. Although I was never offered anonymous sex, so.
Oh, you weren't?
No.
Oh, I mean, it's just it was nice.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for Sacrilicious with Robin and Snurts. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're feeling generous, then please leave a 5-star review with a few sentences. We are currently on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. I don't have any shout-outs this time around. I didn't get my poop together to make that happen, so I'm just going to say to Dr. Moxford, the raddest fan of them all.
The Doctor.
Want to hear more from your old pal Snurts? Then check out the PlayStation Experience on your podcast platform of choice. I can also be found on most of the things at Lord_Snurts. Robin, any outros or plugs?
I've got plenty this week. I want to give a shout out first to my favorite human and godson, Lawrence, my nephew. He graduated high school on Friday, and it was so fun to see him celebrated. And he's off to Florence for university in the fall. 4-year program in Florence. Yep.
Damn, that's gonna be fun.
He got into every college he applied to. I mentioned it before. His accomplishments are impressive, and even more so with dyslexia, dysmorphia. The kid got every learning disorder you could get, ADHD. But our family couldn't be more proud of the kid, and we had a big extended family party after the graduation for him. And this whole month has been like that. Springtime in Atlanta, which is like my favorite. We've had birthdays, and we had brunch today, and we had a friend of mine graduate from graduate school, and it's just been such a fun month of celebrating and doing a bunch of different things together. So we just want to give that shout out to my siblings, Courtney, Julian, Simon, and Oliver, and my in-laws, Kat, Emily, and Ryan, and Auntie Paula, and Granny Ann, Grandpa Bill, and all of our friends, Peter, George, and Mary Lee, Gareth, and Janet, Chris and Aaron, Sam and Sarah, Ty and Scott, the Lowrys, the Summers, the Butlers. It is such a lovely community, such a loving community who all came out to celebrate the kid. And
wait, you guys have butlers? You guys have a lot of you just have everyone gets a butler in your family?
The butlers, they're not very helpful.
I'm just teasing.
Our Chris and McCall aren't that helpful.
I got you.
They don't even clean up their own plate. I'm just kidding, y'all, of course. But the community there is just amazing, and it's been like that this whole month. And as I said earlier, my heart is full.
Nice. I also had a Grandpa Bill, so that's kind of a fun quinky dink.
Yeah.
So our goal is to get the next episode out on June 8th. I picked, and I'm very much looking forward to this. It's one of my favorites. The Simpsons 138th episode Spectacular from season 7. And so like this is going to bring up some things that we covered already, like Who Shot Mr. Burns and Mother Simpson, because it's a behind the scenes clip show type of deal.
Yep.
So I'm hoping we're going to be able to make a lot of connections to shows episodes we already did on this show.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
But in the meantime, Robin, hit me with that sweet, sweet quote.
Oh shoot! I forgot. Hold on a second. Let me grab it. Shoot,
we might leave this in because that's hilarious.
My favorite. It's Bart going, "What are you doing? I can't breathe." And Marge going to open it up, and he goes, "Marge, he's got to get over his fear of coffins."
There you go.
Let's jump in the whole thing.
So until next time, folks. Smell you later, true believers.
Bye.
So, who wants a nice big slice?
There he goes again.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.